Warning, please do not proceed if you are easily offended. This video is for meme purposes only. This video is about the Alask-rabian War. Tensions growing in the Middle East. There are multiple storage facilities for U.S. military vehicles in the Taliban-held Afghanistan. One of these storing facilities is holding a B-29 bomber. The bomber is equipped with a nuclear bomb, but they didn't know what to do with it, so they decided to give it to Arabia. Now, this nuclear bomb was not any normal nuclear bomb, as normal as they are. This was a very experimental nuclear bomb during World War II through the 60s. This bomb was capable of destroying anything within a 40-mile radius. I don't know if that's a lot, but it sounds like it. That's what I'm reading off Wikipedia right now. The way they decided to transport this gargantuan machine and its payload inside of it was through the Persian Gulf. They decided to land their craft next to a city, but far away that they couldn't see it from the city, so there was no chance of being discovered, or at least very little. They had a crazy helicopter escort with the so-called Devil's Chariot, and at the drop point they were waiting with several platoons of Arabian tanks that were waiting at the drop point for them. The way they acquired these tanks was because earlier in the year there was not as much tension, and they were able to transport them through Iraq and Iran. And also the helicopters, it is unknown how they got their hands on those, but it doesn't really matter how they got their hands on that helicopter though. They landed their ships at the port, and now they had to transport this huge aircraft to the Royal Saudi Air Force's headquarters. There was also a huge escort with tanks and soldiers on this drive. It was a pretty quick drive though, it's not that far. It is still unknown exactly how many vehicles there were though. Using instructions and also a blueprint that Afghanistan gave them, they were able to reassemble the B-29, and they got it all ready and checked for flight. So they flew it from Arabia, and they were on their way, and they landed in Germany for a quick stop. We don't know exactly where they landed, but we know they landed there for a refueling. Then they continued on their way to Ontario, Canada, for more fuel. They landed around the lower area of Ontario at an Air Force base, again unnamed for legal reasons. Once they took off again, they flew towards Alaska. And finally, when they got into Alaska, they dropped their bombs on Hiroshima. They returned using the same flight pattern. The reason Germany was in on it is because they were still angry about losing World War I and II to the Americans and British, so they wanted to get back at them. And Canada was angry about Americans hating Canada and thinking they always drink maple syrup and Tim Hortons. Now, that may be true as a Canadian talking myself, but most Canadians got offended by the stereotype. Therefore, they participated in the Alaska bombing.